Hi everyone, my name is Rukmani Kaur. Welcome to Heal Me episode 22. Thanks for coming back. Today's episode is about letting go of an identity or identities. I like to call it system restoring. And it's funny how life works. I wasn't planning on putting the camera on at this moment and doing this because I've had a very intense 24 hours in regards of releasing and trances. But then there was a little voice and the guidance of the angelic team saying, put the camera on, you must make this video. Okay, so here I am. Identities. I had never really thought about this until the last time that I was in Las Vegas visiting my family and friends, of course. Vegas was a place that I lived for a little bit more than half of my life. I was born and raised in Lima, Peru, and then we transferred to Las Vegas. So I moved there when I was 15, and I was there till 2018. We're 2020, right? So just bear with me. And please remember, this is my experience. Perhaps you resonate a little bit with it. And if you do, please, I'd love to hear. If you don't, maybe you have something cool to say that I like to hear as well. But so, I was married when I lived in Las Vegas. I got married when I was 19. And so, it was in 2005. I have tattooed on my forearm. And I got a divorce in 2018. So I changed my name, because my maiden name, which is what I went back to after the divorce, it's quite long. It's so long, you never fit in the rosters at school. When I lived in Peru, because in the States I don't think it matters, because you only have one last name. In South America you have two. You have your mother's last name and then your father's last name. And when they're, what are they called? When they're quite long, then you go from having this name to having this name, and it's quite intense. So I went from having this name to have this name, and it became my identity. So many of us completely resonate with our names, I definitely resonated with mine. I loved it. I totally loved it, and I loved how it was simple and quick, and I didn't have to write so long and take so much time just to write my name out. Simple, concise, to the point, dope. This name meant a lot. It meant a lot. Because it was the person I grew up to be. So I moved to the States when I was a teenager. I had no idea about life. So this name, almost like it set up this foundation to start to know, in a sense, who I am, who I thought I was. And I loved it, Everybody knew me by that name and last name. Everybody knew me. Everybody knew me and my ex-husband. We were just it, It wasn't like we were two separate beings. We were like one being. We did everything together, literally. Everything. So I imagine so many years, it was more than a decade, where this name was me. And I'm not sure if you just believe that's you, Like at this moment in time, I go by my spiritual name, Rukmani Kaur, but that's not just me, In a sense, it's a part of me. Because I experienced so much expansion that how could I put the totality of existence and the totality of my being, the totality of life in this tiny little thing? I can't. But at the moment I did, I was that. And that person went through so much growth with that name. I went through finding the sweetest soulmate she could find, being saved by this soulmate, because I almost died when we first started going out. He saved me. I was like massively bulimic and anorexic, and by his presence, he just healed me, and I didn't need to do that anymore, And I took his last name, and it was such an honor to have his last name. I was very proud of it, Like I said, I was no longer this like blah 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 blah. I was like bloom. That was me. And again, that person continued to go through so much growth, experiencing so many things in life, until we reached a moment where he was experiencing way too much, didn't even know how to handle it. And when she traveled to Asia for the first time to do a teacher training in the Himalayas, the world that she had been searching for opened up to her. Because truly, I kept searching for something bigger, At that moment, like, all I wanted to do was to be enlightened. So funny. But it was a concept, It wasn't like a concrete thing. I hadn't met any enlightened beings until that trip. And I met Babaji in Kathmandu. The very first enlightened being I met. And he changed my life. So you went from that specific thing being a concept to being real. Like, he activated something in me that I didn't really realize until recent, He did something. No, literally did something. He facilitated the space. He opened up the space for my totality to do something. So I will activate something in my organism. Something that I had been waiting for. So there was no possible way that I could go back to live the life that I had with that level of consciousness. I couldn't. So I had to take the biggest decision and the most transformative decision that I've made so far, which was to take off, which was to get a divorce, which was to travel to the other side of the world and experience more things, because in that specific part of the world, so many things happened that my mind couldn't even comprehend. So many spiritual things, so many deities coming up, so much energetics that, like I said, I was searching for so long, and then there they were. So of course the curiosity just ignited this fire in me and say, like, you can't stay stagnant here, because you're meant to experience more. You're meant to go somewhere else. You're meant to truly embody who you are, who you came here to be. To follow your dharma. So it was very difficult. It was very, very difficult. But I didn't even think about this identity thing. It's kind of like, okay, it sucks. It sucks for the two of us. But we're doing this very consciously, and we're not like fighting and calling each other names. We're actually supporting each other in this transition, which was very, very beautiful. And goodness, to this day, he's such an angel. I would do anything for him. Anything. Not even thinking about it, I would just do it. I think it was when I was changing my name back. Of course, in the divorce papers, I said to go back to my maiden name. And I know it triggered something in him, it hurt him. But truly, I wasn't doing it because, I don't want to have your last name. It was more like, in my Peruvian documents, my passport, it has my maiden name. And it has so many instances when I was leaving the country, leaving Peru, that my ticket was under a different name, but I had entered the country with my Peruvian passport. And they were like, what is going on? You gotta change this. And I never got around to do it. So I didn't want to have to go through something like that. I just wanted to have my American passport, my Peruvian passport, all my documents, say one exact name, and I don't have to deal with anything of that. So I didn't think, I really didn't think that it was such a big deal. I was like, okay, I'm just going back to my birth name, So I was reading this thing on the Akashic Records, and it says that every name has a specific vibration. Every name, And part of me thought, holy smokes, I had two names for pretty much till 2018. Well, since 2005. Which means that no wonder why my energy was everywhere, because I pretty much had two Akashic records. Okay, this is how I felt it, And it made so much sense when there was so much struggle, because there was two roads, they were kind of pulling me, and I didn't know where to go. So even though since 2018 I've gotten back to my nickname, I hadn't changed my driver's license from the States, which it's kind of like a requirement to have some kind of ID with the name, so I could change it in my social security card. So in December last year, when I was visiting, I had already made an appointment for the DMV to change it. And my mom was supposed to come with me. Luckily, she didn't. Thank God. Because a massive release happened from me driving from my brother's house to the DMV. Massive release. I didn't even know why. The moment I got into the car and I turned on the car on, I just had this thing inside, why are you about to freak out? You're just going to the DMV. What's going on? And I've gotten very good at just observing and listening to my organism in order to truly understand what's happening, what's being processed. And mind you, when a big release happens and you're on the highway and you're driving, how could you possibly stop? Okay, yeah, you can stop. You can stop on the side of the highway, and then here comes a cop, and then he's like, what's going on? Dude, I'm having a really big fucking release, man, and I can't drive. There's no way. It's gonna be what? Unless, of course, this cop knows and understands something about energetics. But other than that, it's the high unlikely that it could happen. So I felt this pain in my heart. Oh, oh dude, it was so big. And I began to I was entering the highway and I began to hyperventilate. And I was like, what? What's going on? And I was just trying to breathe. And then I felt like somebody was just entering my heart and ripping my heart into pieces and just going like this, squeezing it. And it made me stop breathing, and I started to cry so hard, intensely. And then it clicked. You're going to the DMV to change your name in your driver's license. That's the very last step. You already changed your social security card, you already changed everything else. That's literally it, the last thing. Besides the passport, the passport was somehow not a big thing. It was like the driver's license, the very last drop. I didn't get how big of this thing was. I didn't understand how much my organism had identified itself with a specific name. And it was mourning. It was mourning that identity. It was mourning that name. It was mourning so many years. And trust me, it had been mourning for so long. And it had stopped. So the moment, I had no idea what to do. All I had to do was okay, you cry, you let it all out, and then you're still holding the steering wheel, you're still driving, keeping your shit together because you're gonna get there, you have an appointment, and then there's people around you, so it's not like you can just let yourself go into other dimensions to facilitate a more, in a sense, easy healing, there's people around you. You're gonna be here. But it was so hard. It was so hard. There was this movie in my head playing with that girl. So many memories. So many memories. With him, with friends, with family, a name, like a brand. And it's not a bad thing, it's not a bad thing, but it was something braided and stamped in my organism so deep inside that it had been coming out little by little. But the moment, because the system knew it was just finishing up and getting the very last thing done, that root, that in a sense arrow that had been stuck in there, it just was coming out. And no wonder why my heart felt like it was breaking in billions of pieces, because that core identity was being fully released. And like I said, I didn't even think about it. I didn't even think to give my organism some time to mourn this. I didn't, I just thought it was, you're just changing your name. How much of a big deal could this be? It's a really big fucking deal. And by the time I got to the DMV, I was shaking, and I got to checking to the appointment section, and they're oh, and make sure you have your marriage certificate, and I'm divorce, yes, I do. And it was this big deal because they ended up just putting one part, my mom's last name, and not my dad's last name and not my mom's last name, which take a picture, and they're geez, your name is long. Yeah, I know. It's no, but it has to be how the judge says it. There's this process, and meanwhile I was still in this zone of what in the world is happening. I just want this to be done, and I just want to sit down in the car and breathe a little because it's too much right now. And I didn't want to collapse in front of all the people who were in the DMV, But my system needed to mourn more than it had already mourned, because like I said, it was a core identity. Just kind of in Inside Out, the core beliefs, or whatever they call it in that movie. literally what it was. And it had collapsed, and it had like broken down, and then all those tiny little pieces came out, and then the roots came out. Driving throughout all that process, I was like, holy shit. Why are we not thought about this or taught? You know? Why does society just makes us go to school and learn all these subjects and not literally guide you in the most profound way for your own growth? I never like heard about any of these things. You know, like truly anything that has happened to me since 2016, since the Kundalini Energy like woke up and rose. Never even heard about it before. How is that possible? How is that possible? That should be taught. Or like put a little seed somewhere. You know, I know perhaps things are changing nowadays, but definitely was not like talked about when I grew up. So I had to figure out this shit by myself. Couldn't even go on the internet because there's too much information that I'm like, I don't even know what's right or wrong or what's actually real. And I remember looking up about like Kundalini awakening, and there was nobody that had even told their experience. It's like, is this real? Like, what in the world is happening? This is real. It's real, you know? And again, I'm talking from experience, but I cannot possibly be the only person that goes through this at all. And that's just how it is. How many human beings are in this world? Billions, right? And only one person experiencing this? No way. No way. So I was listening to Sadhguru on his Sight Timer. It's a great app, by the way. And he was talking about acceptance, you know, but he said what you consider yourself to be, normally we call a personality, is essentially different levels of constellation. You know, he goes into like saying like, I don't like this, I don't like them, I don't like her, I only like him, I only like this, and it says what causes it. So it's a constriction of one's mind and consciousness, you know, that is held. Because when we think about it, you know, like somebody could have told you when you were 6 years old, oh, I don't know, in my case, you're fat, you know, so like that was engraved in my organism for so long, till probably like last year or 2 years ago, you know, 6 years old to like 33 years old. That's like a long time, you know. And then he goes like, it says within yourself you must come to the total acceptance of everything, like the absolute acceptance of everything. You know, the emotional, mental, physical acceptance. And in order to be free, you know, and you don't have to tell anyone else, but like, whatever, you know, I'm sorry for this, or all these things. I mean, if you can, if you want, you can, but just within yourself, total acceptance of whatever has happened, of whatever identities has come through and then gone. You know, it's just kind of fascinating. It's just totally fascinating, all these personalities in a way that we have, you know, because in a sense they are like identities. And how many identities or personalities are within oneself? Goodness, you might have like thousands or even billions if you don't even know, if you don't take time to get to know your organism and what's happening inside of it. You know, I've been going through major changes. And this is one of the reasons why at the beginning I would say I didn't really feel like putting the camera on, because I knew I was going to be too vulnerable. And they were like, you must do it. Perhaps because I was meant to be vulnerable in this video. I'm more vulnerable than most of the time. And well, yeah, we're going through like so many changes, and it's tricky. It's weird, it's funky, but very fun and very magical. Last night, or maybe it was 2 nights ago, one of those nights, we were sitting just talking right before going to bed, and I was sharing how I was feeling very depressed, but not in the sense of depression like I've been before. But I said that I felt empty, like completely empty, like almost like I didn't even have anything inside, not even organs, nothing, very empty. Which like it took me back to these meditations that I'm doing, these Kundalini meditations, and my teacher says like be empty inside and expansive outside. I was like feeling that so deeply, so deeply. But then I was just, my mind was going into these things that I wanted to understand what's happening, and trust me, sometimes there's no words to say what's happening in my organism. It's very mystical, and I couldn't explain you 50,000 different times, different ways. And I can't put like the essence of what's happening in one way, because it's deep, it's very deep, and in a sense very complicated, but very simple. So I'm just gonna try. So bear with me. I've been channeling for quite a few years now. For those of you that don't know what channeling is, the way I see it, the way I like to describe it is going to that space, to like the zero dot, going to that space or the dot where there's no duality, where this doesn't exist, a space where everything comes from everything flows, a space from you and me, whoever we think we are, does no longer exist. And there is that which is, that which moves life, that which is moving through me to talk to you in this platform. And that's one of my gifts, there's so much work, so much inner work, shadow work. I can go to that space in less than a second for somebody else. And I feel it. It's when I'm working on someone, it's something bigger that is moving. In a sense, it's me, because like I said, if we go back to that zero dot, that essence is me as well. But it's something bigger than this personality, this constipation. It's moving through me for you, or for whoever is in front of me. And it moves the body. Well, the body moves itself because your physical body is alive. It's kind of like the Avatar movie. This is your avatar. It's so real. So, it's such a blessing, to do what I do. It truly is. But at times, it freaks out my mind. Because with all the changes that are happening within me, and in the physical body, where all the adjustments and stuff, energetically and physically, like this, I know it's about to reach something really big. Something very big. And last time that happened, my world collapsed. I felt my world was collapsing, but in reality it was like really facing upwards. And I was being like, and that's what I felt. My world collapsed, my relationship collapsed, and I moved away. going through that process of, I was kind of scared. Because what if, like, when that happens, when that switch goes like this, the one who's me wouldn't even be me. And then I'm not even sure who me is, if that makes sense, you know? So then there's this personality shift or this identity drop. Because I am not who I was yesterday. I'm not who I was a month ago. I'm not who I was 10 years ago. I continuously grow, just like we do. You know, it's the one constant thing in life is change. So I constantly change and evolve and continue to like reach higher levels of consciousness. And then going back into my birth name, I don't identify myself with that name. Yeah, my family still calls me that. And it's almost like, you know, like a dog. Like you call your dog, like we have a dog, his name is Zeus, right? Then we call him Zeus. But is that really his name? Is that his essence? No. No. His essence is pure love and purity and compassion. You know, one of them, you know, it's not Zeus. Like, who I am is not the name. Who I am is not just Rukmani Kaur. I'm more than that. Like you are. You're just way more than one name that your parents thought it was the greatest name for you. But that's not who you are. That's not your identity. You know, and you might identify yourself with that, and that's totally fine because it's your path. But think about it. Is that who you are? Would you die for that name? I wouldn't. I will die for others. I will die for consciousness. You know, and I'm not saying like die is like self-existing. Like, I think I will fight for freedom, to free others, guide others to freedom. But a name, an identity, like putting that which is into this tiny little thing, I can't. You know, like for so long, for so many years, I constricted myself and I just put myself in this tiny box that's like, you gotta go to school, you gotta be married, you gotta do this, and you gotta do that. And then my being just wanted to expand and expand. It's like, dude, we're not just this tiny box. There's way more to us than this. And the moment I like got itself freedom in a sense and free from this tiny box, and began to experience more and experience more and experience more, until I realized like you're not that. You're not that. And when you have experienced it, like something is moving through you for others, and there's like absolute no sense of an identity, no sense of like a unique consciousness. You know, you're feeling whatever is being moved through you for somebody else, and you feel that your hands moving, and then this language coming through, and all this noises and everything, and it's almost like you're behind the scenes. You're just watching everything. How could you be that name? How could you be that identity? There's no way. It blows out of proportion. There's like no way, because you know and you experience, you're not just that. You're beyond that. And you cannot box yourself. You cannot box yourself any longer, because you've done it for so long. And how did it turn out? Okay, it turned out okay, because you are meant to experience those things. But so in order for you to truly experience what you want to experience, and truly experience your essence, you know, if you want to experience that which is through you 24/7 and beyond, you must break free out of this box. Truly, you know? cool to have a name. That's how people call you. Otherwise, how will people know what to say to you? I mean, you could work. Who knows? But that's not you. That's not you at all. That is like what parents name this physical body. Like I say, just like an animal, just like a doggy. And you named it. But that's not them. So I invite you to free yourself. I invite you to have the courage to give yourself permission to experience beyond what you can actually think you can experience. Not to put limitations, not to have expectations. To let yourself be, Not let yourself be a human. Let yourself be. The moment you let yourself be, is the moment everything opens up. Everything gets shown to you. And yeah, there's a process, there's a moment where things are processing and you might be like, what in the world is happening? But there's something in you that has ignited, and that little fire will continue to extend and grow, and it will guide you, and you will not be alone. You will not be alone. You will feel like, you will feel whole. If you have been searching all your life to feel complete, to be okay with who you are, be okay with your own presence, with your own divine presence, not needing anything around, not needing a pen, not needing a paper, not needing another person, just you, your essence, your presence, and being fine with it, beyond fine. It's kind of what it takes to go beyond the limits, the limitations of the mind as well. Not believing in just one thing, What if you question things? What if you get curious about who you are? Curious about what this is? Curious about how we function? Curious about how life force keeps you alive even though you did so many silly things to yourself for so many years? There's a higher intelligence moving through us all at all times. What if you were to be curious about that? It will definitely surprise you, I'll tell you that. I invite you. That's all I can do. I'm not going to tell you what to do. It's on you, right? It's free will. Because I'm still human, I still feel deeply. I trust more than I ever have in my life. Because if I hadn't trusted that little thing that was telling me, you must go to Asia, I wouldn't be here making this video. I wouldn't be having channeling sessions, helping so many others to activate or deactivate something in their organisms for them to feel whole, for them to have inner peace. I wouldn't. So I'm very glad I followed that little seed. Perhaps that's how it might go with you too, if you follow that seed. Perhaps the freedom you have been searching for is right on the other side of that door. And it takes courage. I know it takes a lot of courage and a lot of self-love and a lot of trust. But look around you. How does a flower bloom? How are we? I read this meme and I posted this on social media. I read this meme years ago that said, you live in a floating globe in the middle of the universe and you don't believe in magic? That sent me somewhere else, because it's true. So trust Trust that you're on the right path and be curious. Be curious. Don't take things personally. We're all going through our shit. We're all going through our shit. The way somebody tells you something or somebody acts with you has nothing to do with you. So don't take things personally. But be curious. Be curious about you. Where do you come from? Where do you come from? What did you come here to do? What are your powers in a sense? What are your gifts? We all have them. We all have them. If I can channel a light language and activate and deactivate things in other people's organisms, so can you. I know a few girls who do that, and guys. Why can't you? Are you boxing yourself in? How about grabbing a little, even with your nail, thinking that it's a little knife, and just going like that in the corners and letting the box collapse? Free yourself. Free yourself. You came here to experience life, and to do something very important. Very important. So, I invite you, if you will, to follow that little seed and trust. Trust. That's all you can do, right? To trust. So, that's it. Remember something. You're braver than you think. You're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, smarter than you think, more loved than you know. I have that over there. I made it. Yeah. You're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, smarter than you think, more loved than you know. So now number one.